Hi, welcome to my studio, Elegant and Earthy. Today I'm going to be making some mugs. I made a bunch of plates this morning, and with the reclaimed clay I'm making mugs now. So I just wanted to give you a demo on how I make a mug. So I like to start with this cloth. I first wet it. It's called a bat mate. I think you can see it there. And what it does is it helps me when I have bats, which are the boards that we throw on the bat, to stay securely in place. Sometimes as they wear out, they might wobble or just have some irregularity to them. So I just go ahead and put my bat mate on. Then I start with my bat. This one's from Creative Industries, and just throw that right on. And what I like to do first is moisten it. Make sure that I have these on nice and tight. And then I like to dry it with a washcloth. Just leave a little bit of moisture on the bat. I have my lumps already. They are 1 pound and 4 ounces. So I just take my lump from my reclaimed clay and I try to put it right in the center of my bat. Then I start slap centering with 30-degree angle hands. There we go. And then a couple of punches on the top. Get my hand nice and wet. Put my elbow right into my hip, and then make the wheel go a little faster and push down. And this adheres the clay to the bat. And then I bring it back up once I hit the bottom. And this is called coning up. And this is how we center clay. You have to center clay before we make anything on the wheel. Once I have a nice shape like that, I put my hands around and I push my thumbs away from me gently, slowly and gently. And I push down. I'm slowing the wheel down a little bit with my foot. There we go. I like that shape. It's a little bit of a cone, like a little bit of a half ball shape. Then I keep my elbow in my hip and I karate chop this thing down to a disc. I need a little more moisture there. Okay, and I'm just gonna reestablish this disc shape a little bit. Make sure it's centered. When I'm happy with it, I'll use my thumb as a tool. I'll use my fingers to push on the tool. This helps me to establish the floor of my vessel. When I think I'm close to the bottom, I begin to pull towards myself. I think you can see a few bubbles in there that are going to have to work themselves out. They'll pop. Not too worried about them. Okay, and then I'm just going to reestablish kind of a nice smooth bottom there with my fingers. And take the needle tool, poke it right in the center. See how thick it is? It's about as thick as I want it. These are not going to be, these are not going to have feet. These are going to just be mugs with flat bottoms. So that's perfect. And I'll take my rib just to reinforce a nice flat bottom. And then when I feel like it's a nice flat bottom and I'm happy with it, I'll flip it over and I'll establish the corner where the bottom and the side meet with the 90-degree angle of this rib tool. And when I like how far out it is, And then I'll bring it back in just to reestablish a nice smooth bottom. There we go. There, and that just helps to give it even a nice smoother bottom. Okay. Now it's time to hug this clay. Wrap my hands around the outside and hug it into the center of the pot. Slowly. May have to do it more than once. And this raises it up a little bit. And then I grab my sponge, clean up the outside a little bit. And the inside is a little bit gnarly, so I'm just gonna smooth it out with a sponge. Okay, now it's time to raise up the sides, create the side of the vessel. And basically this is done with 3 pulls. So I just go ahead and make sure everything's nice and moist. Push in at the bottom, push out with my middle finger slightly, and try to raise up 1 ring of clay at a time. And not really go too fast. You might notice that my wheel is about at half speed now. It's at full speed when we're coning or centering and coning, and then it's about at half speed when I'm creating the side of the vessel. Okay, that is 2 pulls. This will be the 3rd pull to create the height that I'm going for. There's a bubble down here. I just popped it. And now we're coming up the side again for our 3rd and final real pull. There we go. There's quite a bit of water that has accumulated on the inside of this vessel, so I just want to get it out. Where water pools, the vessel becomes weak and cracking can occur, so we don't really want too much water to be lingering about. Okay, I'm gonna take this rubber rib and put it on the inside and just smooth out the inside a little bit and take away any of the extra slip or moisture that is gathered. There we go. And then come to the outside and just kind of clean it up. Okay, that removes a little bit of the slip. And I'll put my soft tool on the inside and my hard tool on the outside. And I'll just let them work together to create a nice smooth pot here. And there we go. Okay, and I've left a little clay on the top so I can make a nice rim. Clean off my ribs. Okay. Again, removing the moisture. May have to do this many times throughout the process. The inside's pretty smooth, so I'm pretty happy with that. Gonna just reestablish the bottom. Okay, smooth it in. Try that again. All right, and then we'll go ahead and use our Dirty Girls tool to establish our foot. Get rid of some of that extra clay. There we go. And reestablish the side here. I'm gonna go ahead and use my metal rim. Encourage a nice shape here with my finger on the inside. All right, so the only thing left to do is just one more once over, give the floor a nice neat floor. And I've just dried this off because I don't want to deposit any water in there. I think I might actually have to get a couple of drops out of there, so I'm gonna use my sponge on a stick, homemade tool. Gotta have it. I'm just gonna get this moisture off the edge. All right, back to the smoothing out the bottom. There we go, looks a little better. Okay. I'm gonna reestablish the 8 foot one more time. That's pretty good. Then I'm gonna just clean up that little edge with my finger. All right, and for the final touch, take care of the rim and really kind of shape this in a way that, with a shape that I like when I'm drinking coffee from a hot cup of coffee or hot chocolate or tea. I like it to curve out a little bit and come to a little bit of a point, not an actual point, but a little bit of a point. I think that makes it a little nicer to drink from. And I just want to remove the slip I've created doing that. And I want to feel it with my finger, make sure it feels good. Get rid of all the slip I've just put on the inside of this vessel. There we go. And I'm just going to use my finger to further smooth it out. Okay, that's about how I like it. And before I set it on the shelf to firm up, I'm going to remove as much water from the bat as possible, so it's a nice clean surface and it doesn't slow down the drying time at all. Okay, I take a little bit of water, put it right here. My wire tool, and this expression is cutting it off the bat. And the point of cutting it off the bat is so that it doesn't end up having an S crack in the bottom. And that's not every clay. Every clay is not like that. This one is being a little stinker. Come back here. Let go of my wire. Every clay is not like that, but the white clay that I use is like that. And so if I don't cut it off the bat, then as the clay shrinks in the drying process, it will, let's see if I can neaten that up. As it shrinks in the drying process, it will crack. The clay will shrink and parts of it will stick to the bat, and then there'll be this S crack in the center of the pot. And you have to throw it away or reclaim it, recycle it. So cutting white clay or my white clay off the bat typically solves that problem. Trying to use very little water also solves that problem. And that's something that happens as you throw more. You tend to use less water. And it's just part of the learning process, really. And once these all firm up, we'll go ahead and add handles to them. But first we need them to get a little bit firm. So thank you for sticking around. Thank you for watching the video of how I throw a coffee pot or a vessel.